Hi guys, and welcome to another Bootstrap 4 video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we're going to continue on with our little Bootstrap build here. We created this sort of hero section up here with that fixed background, and we got some buttons that toggle some divs here with some information in them. So we're going to move on down. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use some media titles to create a list of features down here. I'm going to get rid of all this, and I think I'll get rid of our partners logos there as well, and we'll start from scratch. So let's get started. So here's our root folder. For anybody that's been following along, please skip ahead. I'm just going to go over what we got going on here. Our root folder is where our website files exist from the root. This is where they grow from. We created our pages, about, features, index, price, and services.html. We're looking at the features at the moment behind here. We also created a custom style sheet to dictate what our site looks like. And we've got a folder with some images in it here. So I'm going to open up our features page that we've got behind here with my text editor. And if you don't have a text editor, Brackets is absolutely free. You can download it from a link below. It's got some great features. And like I say, it's absolutely free. But if you have a text editor, any text editor will do. So here we are. We're on our features page. We've got the HTML. I'm going to delete the sections and start from scratch that we don't want. This is the blurb section. I could recycle this, but I guess I'll do it from scratch for the benefit of anybody that hasn't been watching. And here's those partner logos there. So I'm going to get rid of that section and also this section, and we'll start again. Just going to select that, hit the delete, Control S to save. Now if we go back to the site and refresh, let's get our root folder out of the way. This section will disappear and it should be the footer right there. There we go. And it's all we've got is our top section and the footer. So let's create a new section. I will use this linear gradient again. So let's go into our brackets again, back to our text editor. And after this section, we'll create a new section. I'll give it an ID because I might want to anchor it with something, but I might not. So we'll call this F list, features list. And inside there, we want it to be contained. We don't want it to be full width, so I'm going to put it in a div with the class of container. We're going to also add the class of gap 100, which is a CSS class that we created that gives a gap top and bottom of 70 pixels and left and right of 0 pixels. I'll just show you that in the custom CSS. Here's our custom CSS file if we've not got it open. Let's do a quick search, Control F to find, and we want gap. I'll roll that down. There it is right there, gap 100, padding 70 top and bottom, 0 left and right. That's why I've put that in with our section right here, gap 100. Okay, what do we actually want inside there? Well, first thing I want to do is I want to put a title in there. And we've got our H2 class defined already. So let's say H2. And we want it light. And we created a class of H2W to make our H2 a light color, because by default we made it blue. So if we just give it the H2W class, it'll turn it white for us. And what should we call it? Fully featured. And we may have to do a little bit of adjusting on this. I'm also going to put class of text center on this because I want this to be in the middle of the page. So text center, will put it in the middle of the page. So we've got a section, we've got a container. Inside that container, we've got a heading. I think because I want to probably adjust this, I'm going to actually put it inside a div of its own on hindsight. And let's give it a class for the time being of text center, and I'll take it away from below and pop that closing divider, Control X to cut, put it afterwards so that our H2 tags are actually wrapped in it. And we'll just shuffle this one across. There we go, and I'll take this away from there because we don't need it on both. The reason I'm doing that is I've got a feeling I need to push this up or down with a class that I've created before called light title, or lttl. But we'll see when we put it all together. So we've got our container, we've got our little div with our title in it. Now let's start using our media titles to create a list, and it's going to look a bit funky at first, but we can do a few minor adjustments to get it looking right. So let's open a new div. We'll give it the class of media, and inside there we want it to have an image. So open img for image. Where is the image? src. I'll just pull this across again. Our images are all in a folder called img. You can call it what you want. IMG is pretty common, or images, or whatever you want to call it, it's fine. IMG is what I'm going to use. I think I'll use our little laptop images for expediency, saving me grabbing any more. G1 through however many we're going to do here. So source is where the image is, and it's in that image folder. So equals, a couple of inverted commas, img. It's actually found it, but I'll type it in this time. You just type it in, img. Then forward slash, let's move the cursor out of the way. Might want to spell that correctly, img, there we go, and then forward slash. Once you're there, and it was G1 through G, however many we're going to do. So I'll start with G1, that's fine. I guess I better give it an alt tag because it's an image. And it's just a picture of a laptop. Alt equals laptop. Like I've said many times before, a lot of people use these alt tags for SEO purposes, and we'll put a keyword or phrase in there rather than a descriptive, should be a description really of whatever that image is. Okay, and we're going to want to add a bit of margin in a minute, but we'll see what we've got first before we do that. Okay, so there's our image at the top, and underneath our image we want to, well, not actually, to the right of our image, this will be, we want some text, and we'll call this the image body, or media body I should say. Div with a class equals media dash body, and these are Bootstrap 4 little elements we're putting in here, so they've got sort of prearranged styles with them. Okay, and within our media body is where we want to put any content. Now we're going to want a little heading. So inside here, let's use, perhaps we've used H3, let's use H5, which will be a bit smaller. We don't want it huge. We can always change this if we decide it's not enough. say compact design, and underneath our title we want a little bit of text, so not even going to give it any p tags. I'm just simply going to put the text in here raw. If we want to target it or do something special with it, I will wrap it. So I'm going to put a bit of dummy text in here, lorem ipsum, just as we've used up here. Now let's have a look, have a think here. This title, the H5 here, I want to be aligned top. So let's take any margin away from the top that it may have. So let's give that H5 a class of margin, M for margin, T for top, say 0. That way it's going to push it all the way up to the top, and it should be sort of lined up with the top of the image there. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've actually got then we can repeat it when we've got it styled the way we want to. It's going to look a bit weird at the moment because that image is going to be way too large, but the rest of it should be okay. And the first thing that we're actually going to want to do is tell our section F list to be that gradient blue purple color. So let's save this. We'll see what we got. It's not going to look particularly interesting. In fact, it may look even quite strange. So if I refresh now, we should have something down below where that footer is. If I saved it, I think I did. Yeah, there should be a title in there. We just can't see it because it's white on white. As you can see, that image is way too big. What we want is a little thumbnail type image, and this to stretch the whole of the thing. So first thing we want to do is turn this section to that nice gradient color that we've been using. Same gradient as we use in the header there. So let's do that. Let's go to our custom style sheet, open our brackets, open the custom style sheet. If you haven't got it open, just pull over your root folder and open your custom style sheet. That's what we're looking at the moment. Let's go down to the bottom where we were finished working yesterday, and let's just double check here. Our section is called F list, and it's an ID. It's not a class, it's an ID. So we need to target that with a hashtag. So it's hashtag because it's an ID, and the name was F list. And we want to give it that nice gradient background color. So let's steal that one again, which is right here, just above. We'll steal that from our blurb module. Alright, that should take care of the background color. Now that image, if we just look back at the site here, let's just save that, Control S. I mean, that image is way too big. I mean, it's monstrously too big. It's 10 times the size of what I want it. I only want it sort of this, this sort of size. Say, I guess 150 pixels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to target this image and give it a max width of 150 pixels. Well, if I refresh now, you should see that purple background. So let's do that first, and then I'll do the image. There it is. We've got a nice purple blue gradient, or ugly purple blue gradient if you don't like it. And right here, I'm going to target this image, make it smaller. We've got to turn this text to a light color so we can actually see it. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go back to our brackets, and to target that image, if we look at the HTML, here's the image. It's in a div called media. So if we target the class of media, .media, and then the class of image, we can target this image. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to make it max width of 150 pixels, which will make it a lot smaller. And also, all this text wants to be a light color. So what I'm going to do is inside here, I'm going to add the class of text light. That's a Bootstrap 4 class. It will turn that text to a white color. You'll be able to read it on that background. So let's target our image, media.media img. Control S to save. Let's go back to our custom CSS. And it was dot media, and inside there it was the image. Open and close some curlies, and let's give it a max width. Let's say of 150 pixels. You can always adjust it. I think that ought to do it. Okay, so we've made the image a lot smaller and we've made our text white. Let's save that, Control S. See what we've got. We're going to want to add a little bit of spacing. Refresh. There we go. That's looking more like what I wanted to see. I don't want this text bumped up right next to that, so I want to give it a bit of a margin on this side. And what I'm going to do, because we're going to add more, I'm going to give it a bit of a margin on the bottom. If I add a spare one here, let's just do that. Go to our HTML. With brackets, if you select an opening div, it'll show you the closing div. So I'm just going to copy this once because I want to see how much space we want to put between each one. I'm probably going to have about 6 of them. And all I did was selected the whole section there, the whole div, media div, and just copied it underneath. Save that, Control S. Let's go back to our site and see what we want to do here. Okay, see there's a one on top of each other there. We need to give this image a bit of space around the right hand side, so margin right. We also want to give it a bit of margin on the bottom so that there's space between these two columns, and that's really easy to do with our Bootstrap margin classes. So let's do that. So here's our image. So I want to give it a class equals, open some inverted commas. Better close them because it's gone very red there. That's fine. And we're going to give it, what did I say, margin right, M margin, R for right, dash 5. That'll give it a gap of 5 M's to the right. And we also want a margin on the bottom. I'll do a similar 5, and maybe too much we can adjust it. Margin, M, B for bottom. And I'll also give it 5. You can do from 1 to 5. 1's the shortest gap, 5 is the largest gap. Save that and we'll see what we've got. Of course I want to put, actually before I save it, I want to put it on that second one as well, so I'm going to select that, Control C, and just pop that one in there. Well, there we go. Control S. Now let's see what we've got. It should be shaping up now. There we go. We've actually got a gap on the bottom and a gap on the right there. That's great. I think that's too much. I think I'm going to take that down to say margin 3, and you'll see the difference between 3 and 5. Experiment with 1 to 5 and make your own mind up. So let's go back. Let's change that to a 3. And we'll do it to the one below also. Control S, back to the site. And refresh. Gosh. Not sure. I think 4. I think that's not enough. And the other one was too much, so let's just change it to 4. And if we don't think that's enough or too much, we can do it the old-fashioned way with regular CSS. Save that, back to the site one more time. Yeah, I think that will do it. I like that gap and I like that gap. We don't have to have them the same. You can have different values. So let's leave it like that. Now what I'm going to do is copy this another 4 times. So I've got 6 of them. Back to the site. Click on the opening div. There's the closing div. So we want to select all that. That's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Quickly save, back to the site and refresh. There we go, we've got 6 of them now, and all I need to do is I'll quickly go and change these images out and just put a few changes here so it's not all exactly the same. I mean, it looks nice and uniform being exactly the same, but in the real world you'd have different amounts of text in them. So what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll just do the first one, and then I'll pause and do the rest. No point you sitting here watching me change these things. So here's our first one. We'll leave that one alone. We'll say G2 on the second one, and we'll change the title. I've really not thought this through too much, and let's just add a sentence here. This is all junk. This is all lorem ipsum, so it doesn't mean anything. I don't put anything out I want. Of course you will have, if you've got some features, you're going to have some proper text to put in there. So I've done that one. Let's save that, see what we got, and then I'll come back and do the rest while we pause. There we go, we've got a different image in there, we've got that fast processing, got different amount of text in there. So what I'll do, I'll go back, I'll pause the video, and I'll switch out the rest of them. Okay, I've changed all those out now. Let's save that, Control S, and back to the site, and let's refresh. There we go, we've got different images on each one, we've got different title, different amounts of text on each one. And that's an interesting little list. Of course, if you've got more text, you can make the images bigger and deeper. But those media headings make a quite nice little list. Okay, last thing I want to do here is our gap seems a bit big here. Now I've got a class called light title lttl, which will give it a margin of -50 pixels at the top, which will pull it up to about here. So let's just add that class to this h2 container. So let's go in there, back to our HTML, and I'll put all this CSS down below. Here's our h2 container, and I think it was L for light, TTL was our class, I think. Let's do a search for that in our CSS, make sure I'm correct. Here's our custom CSS. Let's do a quick search, Control F, to paste that in there, LTTL, there it is right there, LTTL. See, margin top, -50 pixels. I'll put this down below the video as well. And it's got a bit of padding on the bottom, and that should just pop that title up a bit and make it a consistent spacing. Control S. Now when I refresh, this should pop up by 50 pixels or so and should have a slightly more constant spacing. There we go, that's what we want. We've got our 70 at the top, and there's our little featured list there. So there you have it. There's how to create a list using media headings. I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, comment, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're interested in web development, take a look down below. We've got some great free web development courses down there, as well as some premium courses with some huge discounts for our YouTube subscribers, so do check it out. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and WebDesignTechTips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.